monster was crawling on my ceiling like a large twisted spider. His arms were bent in excruciating-looking ways to grip the ceiling and watch me with his eyes that burn like fire. I wanted to scream at the top of my lungs at the very sight of it, but instead I held my ground. I knew I had to be safe enough to write this pretentious diary entry. A cruel smile spread across the face.
On the bright side, he's not writing one every 15 minutes like he was in that haunted Japanese house.
Across the face of the predator who was stalking me, he undug his fingers from the ceiling and landed on the floor in front of me with a thunderous crash.
With luck.
Mere inches away from me. This was his mistake.
Ha ha! I have got to know! You are 7 years old.
Is it actually the Predator? Because that could make sense. That could actually make sense.
What do you mean? Predator versus Krampus.
Yeah.
I threw the entire pitcher of burning hot cocoa on his face, and the beast immediately started writhing in agony. So scary!
My one weakness! Hot water! Yeah. Hot cocoa!
He covered his hands.
How did you know my only weakness was all the things humans are weak to?
Including the common cold.
He covered his hands over his quickly blistering face. Terrible sentence. He took his hands off of his face just as it began to melt and peel off. I don't think that's how you spell peel either. The bits of flesh and blood melting away to reveal his horrible skull with its eyes in their with its eyes still in their sockets. It froze for a while, and for a brief moment, I was happily assured and content that the Krampus was dead. But then it started cackling an awful and disturbingly malevolent laugh.
Turning into Ghost Rider.
At the door! Screaming at the door!
It pierced my ears like knives and overloomed...
Maybe that's the thing, it's not actually the Krampus, it's just Nick Cage.
It pierced my ears like knives and overloomed over me to instill as much fear as it could over.
So not loomed over, overloomed.
It's a sequel to Overblood. It was working. Before my very eyes, the muscles around the creature's skull started to grow back, and in seconds its new face had formed.
Ta-da!
Wrong, it looked more like a goat with pointy teeth than a human, but you could still partially see it in there.
You fool, don't you know about the Krampus' healing factor? That's in all the legends.
Okay, when it's possessive, there is no fucking apostrophe, okay?
No.
Can people please learn this?
It's really irritating.
And I said, again,
well, the
with
reason...
in the context of the story, yes, it's a 7-year-old, but considering the 7-year-old writes like they're in their 20s, it doesn't fucking matter. But like, we had this with that Inugami story as well, and it's just like, I just feel like, you were in the 8th grade once. You know, it's like fucking...
It's just turning to Bill Worst.
Or just like the entire...
It's an apostrophe and an S.
His beard was still as long as before.
Wait, so, Jacob, just be clear, does it have multiple beards or does it own a beard?
Yes.
Now it looked almost out of place on the demonic beast's head. I turned and ran behind the Christmas tree, avoiding the abomination's lanky arms as I ran by.
Hey, you can call Krampus a lot of things. Lanky, fuck you.
That's our word.
Yeah, that's right.
The Krampus immediately started coming towards the tree, intent on harming me. I push, present tense, all of a sudden, the plastic evergreen
It's
on the
just
monster
a plastic Christmas tree.
and
Stop calling
ran
it that.
back upstairs to find my little brother. I wailed on my other siblings' doors, but no one would wake up. No, wouldn't it be better if this was just presented as a story rather than like a
Yeah.
Because where's the diary entry gonna go? You know what I mean?
In space.
It's like here. It's just one of the examples of the Christmas Krampus.
Yeah, all that didn't need to be there.
Mm.
We go to sleep, so we're not bothered. But the doors are also heavy, and not so much sound get through them.
I'm pretty sure that if someone was wailing on...
No, hold on a second, Toby. I think this author just had a minor stroke. Everything's in fairly comprehensive English. Everyone locks the doors to their rooms when we go to sleep, so we're not bothered. But the doors are also heavy, and not much sound gets through them.
Not much sound. Fucking hell, mate.
I mean, fast, guys, alright? Is their face weird?
Yeah.
Are they slurring their speech? It's time to call 999. Can they raise their arms? All that other shit.
Right.
I began to shout for Levi as loud as I could, hoping he'd respond. Then Levi appeared at the top of the stairs.
He's done it again. He spelt stairs completely wrong.
Yeah, at the top of the stairs, as in stares at
staring,
you.
Yeah.
We stared at each other. He looked terrified and sad. I started to walk towards him when suddenly my baby brother was impaled by the Krampus's horns.
Oh.
Okay? His body was thrusted up and thrashed around by the savage creature as he convulsed and shook spastically on its horns. I've seen people die on TV before, but watching it in real life is entirely different. I mean,
You don't fucking say!
Also, when have
Seven.
you, a 7-year-old, seen someone die on TV? Like, a fake die in a movie, yeah. But,
No,
like,
what-
when you say I've seen people die on TV, I assume you mean, like, on the news or something. Like,
When you, I've seen someone die, so that could be, literally being TV could be anything from someone pointed the gun and then they fell down to you watch Saw. Like, oh, this is like nothing like that time I saw a stormtrooper get shot.
Yeah, exactly.
stuff like the time Zordon sacrificed himself to destroy all the evil in the galaxy.
They were close, but slightly different.
I'm going back to my home planet.
No one should have to go through it. My brother didn't deserve that. No one deserves that. Santa and Christmas are about love and cheer. Krampus made Christmas about hatred and retribution.
Retribution for what?
Helplessly
For
while
being
the thing
mildly naughty.
ripped my brother's shaking body from its horns and dropped his lifeless body into the back.
What I want to
basket
know
on his
is
back.
what's the definition between naughty and nice? Like, what do you have to do, like, to become naughty? All of a sudden, do you have to knock over a cup of tea?
I
and
think
not
you
pick it
have
up?
to be a commandment breaker. When
Yeah.
you're 7, you got to make sure you don't like make any graven images or commit
Commit
adultery.
adultery.
The demon began to strut towards me with malicious intentions, so I ducked into Mum and Dad's empty room and opened the top right drawer of my dad's dresser.
That's probably not a good idea, mate.
I wasn't.
Might find
Oh,
something in
yeah,
there,
I
you know.
never opened Mum's
Toby,
dresser anymore.
are you speaking from experience? I wasn't tall enough to see what I was reaching for. But when I felt it, I pulled out my dad's pistol.
Oh, fuck, right.
That's just the name of it.
Right, pistol, okay.
Like, so have you ever played Saints
Hey,
Row?
look,
I opened the other dresser and put 2 bullets in the pistol by the time the creature burst open
Because
the door.
you knew how to do that.
I
Yeah.
shot it twice and hit both times.
You are an amazing
But
shot.
it was
and
unfazed by the bullets. The loud noise clearly hurt both our ears, and the monster clawed at its ears while screaming in pain.
Hang on,
But it
why
was
would-
unfazed
so-
by
so
it.
It was unfazed by the
a se-
bullets,
yeah,
but
also
the sound.
a 7-year-old with who I'm guessing doesn't have any training in how to fire,
Obviously
firearms
not.
training, managed to
Obviously
hit
not.
it twice, unless it's standing straight in front of you.
I began to.
I know, I
quick-
mean like a foot away.
Yeah, I mean by Krampus did they mean side of a barn? Like I can't. I began to quickly crawl towards the window until something long,
Or cruel? Do you
thin,
mean he did action roll or
tight,
flip?
and slimy gripped my right leg and began pulling me back. I looked
I
behind
pulled out my
me,
K-bar
to
and
my
chopped it
terror,
off.
to see that Krampus was using its incredibly long tongue to pull me to its mouth full of sharp, jagged teeth. I began to breathe in and out quicker and quicker, and began panicking as my foot got closer to its mouth. I lifted my leg and kicked it in the face before its tongue finally loosened. Before I could breathe, Krampus picked me up, began shaking me wildly. At that point, I knew I was okay and it wasn't going to eat me.
Yeah.
I kicked him a second time, this time with my right foot, and he flung me into the hallway where I began limping away. I had reached the end of the hallway when I heard a loud popping crack sound, moments before feeling a sharp sting all across my back. I looked back and saw that the holiday devil had whipped me with a whip.
You don't say.
Had whipped me with a whip, like a lion tamer would use. I felt the warm...
He
Why
whipped me with
did
a
he have to
towel.
establish that he whipped him with a whip?
I
Didn't it just say
He,
whipped
you-
him?
Yeah, he had
I
a
felt-
whip.
I
I felt a pain on my back. It was from the whip.
I felt the warm ooze onto my back. No, you mean I felt the warm ooze on my back. Onto my back means someone oozed onto your back. And let's not...
Ivan
There's
Ooze. Ivan Ooze all on his back.
As new pain started setting in, I started to limp away to safety when I was picked up by Krampus again. His long cold fingers wrapped around my back and stung my cut even worse. He looked at me right in the eye before lifting me behind him and dropping him in the birch basket on his back. Outside of the basket it looks like it could only fit a couple of kids inside, but the inside was massive. I fell into a mountain of bodies. There were hundreds or thousands of kids in that one basket, piled on each other, not all alive, where you couldn't see other kids, which made up the trembling ground. You only saw darkness. No sounds could be heard from inside, or outside really either. Kids would scream, mutter, shout until their throats clearly hurt, but no sound came from their mouths. Every time I thought the situation couldn't get any worse, it got way worse. I waited what felt like millennia to escape, as new kids would fall in and join the confusion to show how much time passed. Toby, please take over. for
Played a game
while.
of Yu-Gi-Oh to pass the time.
Fuck Konami, not playing Yu-Gi-Oh. So how does this basket work then? Like, he just drops it in and suddenly it's fucking TARDIS in there. What about when he reaches in? Does it like it's a fucking massive claw?
I don't know,
hand?
Toby. It's fucking magic. Just read the fucking story.
Eventually the Krampus reached into the basket and began to pull out another child. His arms became larger as he reached into the basket and stretched out to a panicked girl. Oh, okay. I grabbed onto her leg and let myself be carried to salvation. When we were pulled from the basket, I let go of the kid and fell behind Krampus. He didn't notice I escaped. I'm pretty sure he would have.
Good thing you're super smart and you're the first person to ever do this.
Yeah, he was too focused on the girl. He looked at the small girl for a second before biting into her flesh with his sharp teeth. I never knew the kid's name before the creature devoured her, but I owe her my life for helping me escape. Okay. I backed away slowly from
I'll build her a
behind
statue or something when I get back.
as Krampus feasted on my fellow child at its dinner table. I had no idea where I was now, but it was dark and it was cold. I think it's where the creature lives. After the monster was finished eating, he picked up a small wooden box, opened the top and spat something that glowed bright green into it. He then took the box over to a rusted doofus that he opened, entered, and left a few minutes later without the box.
A dude? Like,
I don't know. He then left the room, leaving the child's remains with a large platter and a rusty door opened to my view. I opened the door to see dozens more of wooden boxes. I also saw many creepy looking porcelain dolls and other creepy toys. The door behind me closed and I was immersed in total darkness. I got out my phone to use it to barely light my way. I walked past a jack-in-the-box with a scary face. I walked past a baby doll which looked withered
with
and
a scary
old.
face.
Why is it just going to list off all these things? I found the sack doll which looked like a creepy rotting skeleton too. I thought it was like Santa's rejected toy shop until I found the words Misfits smeared in red paint next to the clown with a skull for a head, blue eyes in its socket and big fleshy hands.
The island of misfit mascots?
Yes, why not? I was terrified someone else would caught me in that room. When I got closer to the clown, it jumped towards me and yelled, "Wanna play?" I got really scared and jumped back as the clown let out a scary laugh. Of all these things, why would they scare you if you just saw people getting eaten in front of you? Pretty sure that
I'm so dead inside that nothing fazed me anymore.
Yeah. I heard scurrying and tiny footsteps of other toys from all around. I started catching the dolls and gingerbread men turning their heads as I ran along the walls trying to relocate the door. I found myself another message on the wall. "Why can't we die?" was scratched onto the wall by something. I wanted nothing more.
Why can't we die right now?
Yeah.
Like, this story is so fucking boring.
It's started turning to like a shitty Amnesia knockoff or something. I think it'll be audio logs.
Yeah. When I located the
Day
door...
35, I've got a new job at the anti-North Pole. This Krampus guy seems like a sketchy employer, but I need the cash for my daughter's surgery.
You sound like William Shatner.
Yeah, I know. I was just trying to do like the average arsehole on the audio tape that you find at haunted games.
When I located the door, I bolted for it as soon as I saw it, but was tripped by a toy plastic soldier with realistic burns on half of his face. How big was this plastic soldier, if you could see that? I kicked the tiny hunk of plastic away and moved closer to the door. So did he get like zoom goggles on?
Let's turn into small soldiers.
Yeah. When a deformed baby
I
doll
fucking wish.
bit appeared from the darkness and sank her teeth into my leg. I felt a surge of pain and fell to the ground. I furiously punched the doll's head repeatedly until it unlocked its tiny teeth from my flesh. The porcelain atrocity scurried off as other terrible toys danced around me in the darkness. More and more of them kept popping out, up and then coming out of the boxes, like the ones Krampus spat the glowing thing into. The toys began muttering words, but I couldn't make out what they were saying. The muttering got louder and louder, and I understood some of the words.
Feel our plane. He killed us, but entirely. He gobbled me up and spat my soul into a puppet. Kill us. Let us die.
Because I had to explain it because it was,
Let me explain the plot for you.
Yeah, because it was too subtle before. He ate a child and then spat it into a box.
Yeah.
Oh, I wonder what that glowing green thing could it have been? I don't know. Their pancreas. That's how the pancreas looks like.
Oh, fuck it.
Of course, it's their fucking soul, and he's haunting. Did this entire section need to happen?
No,
I thought it was just gonna be like the other Christmas story where it's like, oh, I ate a child, and then someone watched.
This story was written by the guy who made Sonic Adventure 2 because they had to just feel unnecessary need to fucking just explain everything because the game is fucking garbage.
For a second there, when you said like Adventure 2, I thought you were gonna talk about like a CREEPYPASTA we read, like.
Oh no.
I was like, oh, this was put by the person who wrote like like Sonic EXE 2 or stuff like that. Like, no, it's just the person who wrote Sonic Adventure
Sonic
2.
Adventure 2 is fucking shit game.
Jacob, you wanna tune in this, or are you too busy playing Bejeweled?
What is it just changing every time?
Yeah, basically, whatever he's doing with his fucking phone.
Jacob, did you put coffee on earlier?
Yes.
Can we have coffee?
Can we finish the story first?
Can we,
How much is left?
yeah, it's quite a bit. Can we have coffee first?
Yeah, I'll get coffee.
Because I'm kind of.
You
falling
keep
a-
reading, I'll go and
I'm
get coffee.
falling asleep while right.
That's fine.
Do you want
I'll
me
go
to
get
start
coffee, but if you
reading, or
keep
are
reading.
Yeah.
Someone, can we have someone else?
Yeah, Gemma, do you want to swap places with Toby though? Because Mike won't pick you up from over there.
Sure. The things they said were terribly dreadful, to say the least. I got up and started to make my way to the door as the dolls chanted more obscene things, Yummy. We're gonna eat you alive like he ate us. I'm going to rip out your eyes.
I'm gonna rip out your eyes.
They're Irish now. Oh, what you do? I'm gonna rip out your eyes because I'm a leprechaun. That's what we do.
Although they continued to chant, none of them came towards me again as I moved around the dark room.
Because he's the hardest 7-year-old ever.
I saw a small toy skeleton in Santa's clothes with a beard move by. Okay.
What?
A puppet with many nails sticking out of it. Its wooden head was strung up to the ceiling, moving and resting with its strings. I'm sure you were trying to say wrestling. But you've got, I spotted a stool that was pulled up to a workbench with tools and a teddy bear on it. The teddy bear had real bear claws sticking from its paws and real human teeth in its mouth.
Real shit.
Scary.
That's
Real
the
kung fu
story.
action.
I reasoned that this was Krampus's demented toy shop and decided to leave before it was too late.
Too late.
I walked past the bench to the door and started pulling on the rusty metal handle. The door was extremely heavy, but slowly budged and started opening as I pulled back with all my might. Light began to bathe the room and the misfit toys dashed to the shadows to avoid the light. I ran.
Really hope you're all enjoying your Christmas present.
Yeah.
Yeah, I ran from the dark room and closed the door behind me and leaned on it for a while to catch my bearings. I looked around at the only other room in this place that was familiar to me. I went by the long table the monster ate the nameless girl at, trying not to think about it. Right? Trying to think of something, again, anything to distract me from the horrors I have bared witness to.
Probably what you should try and do is, instead of imagining yourself trying to do this, that, and the other, just get out of there, mate.
Into the most unsuspecting and happiest time of year.
Get out of there.
I walked to an open door and poked only half my head out to scan the perimeter of the room. It led to a large room that had various whips, saws, and various other S&M devices.
Wait, I was going to say, did it actually say that? Because I was going to make the same
It goes
joke.
to like Krampus'
Like
kink
various other
dungeon.
torture devices.
It's like this isn't actually like for killing. It's just his kink dungeon
Yeah.
when he invites a lady friend round.
I kept in and kept to the wall. I spotted 3 dark wooden doors amongst the darkness and concrete walls. I also found a window, and the snow outside was falling so slowly, so peacefully. 2 doors were on one large wall opposite of the window, and the other was on the wall to the right of the window. I first tried on one of the doors on the long wall, but had decided beforehand to go to the door right on the window, thinking it would lead me closer to a door of out or something.
So why
What
even
did you
mention
just
it?
say?
What?
No!
That was just sort of words, just sort of vomited onto the page
That was
there.
that was verbal diarrhea.
Fuck it, hell.
It was as pleasant as it as well. The walls were lined with racks and racks and racks and racks.
Great racks on sale. Great racks.
Big
on-
American titties.
That were lined with hellish
Yes,
masks. Some had horns, some had long serpent
Some
tongues.
has
Bull gags.
Some racks have the horn. Some racks don't have the horn. It's your choice, guys.
Some had long serpent tongues sticking out. Some had teeth. Some had patches of skin. Some had antlers.
We've got them all here, fellas. Any rack for anyone. You right, Jacob?
Yeah.
Cheers, mate.
And I'm going to give one to Gemma.
And then
I'll
you
be
can find more
right.
excuses to not be in the room.
I'll be right
going
there.
to talk to Logan for a few minutes.
Okay.
hours.
So there you have it,
Where am
folks.
I?
He's literally finding ways to dodge out of doing this.
Yes, like some had antlers.
Because
One
he
was
is a bitch.
Go back there, are we? I'm Jacob Sherwood, and I like to invite people round to read a creepypasta. With an actual fact, I like to take my 5 minutes of taking a shit.
Yep. A Christmas classic, even though I'm not sure that was actually done any time before Christmas. But it's a Christmas classic now.
It's classic now. Remember, folks, if you want to appreciate your friends, just make sure
Yeah,
you
remember,
tell
if
them.
you start up a channel your name's on it, and you're getting minimal payment for doing this. Remember to always go off. Don't be interested in it.
And
Just wanted to chat to him, make sure he was all right on his own.
And don't forget, guys.
Yeah, but it's still fun to make fun of you.
Don't
And we
forget,
make fun
guys.
of Toby.
It's Christmas time, so it's the time of year that you certainly need to remember this. If you ever need to assert your dominance, shit in another man's arsehole. Especially Santa's arsehole.
Like Jesus told us to.
Yeah.
Pretty sure that's in Leviticus.
Let's go.
Right. One was a wired skull with antlers, and the antlers had lit candles on them. It was so strange.
Lit. Sorry, it's the fucking thing.
The room was so large. The other door led to the same room. I left without
What?
moving the
How can the other door lead to the same room that you're in?
So-
This is a brick wall. This is a fake door.
I left without moving
Come on
the door.
down, it's a real fake door.
In fear that closing the heavy door would
be
create
genius.
noise and would lead the creature to me.
You see, the fake door is a metaphor for like life in this capitalist wasteland.
I just read ahead.
Go on. Does it get better? Does it get less boring?
Oh wow, this
Yes,
is really
it gets.
good.
It kind of gets. I think it gets less.
It's like, whoa, holy shit, this
This
is
is
like
like the best
paragraph.
It's
Really
so good.
thing.
Toby, you should read it. And just walks out.
Yeah.
I walked alongside the wall to avoid the equipment, straight to the only door I had left. I opened the door slowly and with caution.
Got on the floor.
First thing I noticed was a strange tree that looked like an upside-down purple Christmas tree. The trunk in it.
Upside down purple-headed
I was going to say, was the custard leaking from this purple tree?
The trunk was on in the bottom, but the pines and branches looked upside down. The tree was decorated.
The
with
Trump
red,
was on the bottom.
with red and green lights
It's a
and
great tree,
dot
folks.
dot dot small bones. There was another window in this room, but it was on the same side as the last. There was an open doorway that led to halfway the
Can I just say, I'm so glad I'm getting descriptive things of this shit. Sorry, I'm yawning there.
Aren't you glad you came round, Toby?
Oh, French champagne. Honestly though, why is he going into so much detail about windows that we don't care about? I am not imagining any of this in my head right now at all.
teed off and two signs later.
Either get eaten by Krampus or don't get eaten by Krampus or end up
Just
in
hurry
this
up and do
room.
it.
Just fucking get to the point.
Right, the,
There's
right,
no, this is not working.
right, the right one said surveillance room and the left one said stables. I went to the stables thinking I might be able to find a reindeer to fly out of that place
Or a
with.
horse, more realistic probably.
It seemed like a silly plan now in hindsight. Yes. I
Yeah.
opened
Yeah. Funny that.
I opened the stable door and awful smells invaded my nostrils immediately. There was frost on the floor as well, because that was relevant. There were 8 stables lined up along with the wall to the right, each with a demonic reindeer head sticking out. Below each head was the doors to each stall, each with pendants of names on them.
Excellent.
I read the names out loud as I started down the road.
Is it like Hubbery, like the Guardian of Sadness and shit like that?
Each deer was grotesque in their own right. 1 or 2 had exposed skulls.
That looked
Each
pretty
had jagged teeth. Some had manes, and other had dried blood on their
Oh no,
fur.
mains!
For
7
God's sake, they were just hillbillies.
7 of their eyes were red. Slasher, I said as I passed the first one.
Hang on.
Wrathful, Gorgon, Putrid, Cyclops. Cyclops was missing 1 fiery eye.
Fucking Gorgon.
Rabies, and Goner.
So hang on. There's Slasher, there's Ruffle, there's Gorgon, there's Putrid.
But
there's-
do you know the most famous of them all?
There's
Evil.
Cyclops and Rabies and Goner, and the last monstrous reindeer looked like a hellish Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. His head held flames that danced from its gnarled snout to the back of its mane. Between its sharpened bloody antlers furiously flickered bolts of electricity. Blitzkrieg.
But do you know the most famous reindeer of them all? Blitzkrieg!
You're fucking having me on. There is no way it says Blitzkrieg on the
The
screen.
reindeer.
Still on the wiki, folks. Blitzkrieg, the satanic reindeer. Still on
I can't wait for their Christmas special.
CREEPYPASTA.wikia.com, the mark of quality.
It's like Slasher and Wrathful and Gorgon and Putrid and Cyclops and Rabies and Goner and Blitzkrieg.
So, anyone else feel that edge?
I decided riding one was out of the question and began
Well,
searching for
Well,
another.
Yeah.
Blitzkrieg, clearly.
I don't know,
I
rabies,
mean, he probably
rabies
knows
might
where
have been
England
the one.
is, so...
Rabies might have been alright, you know.
I realised the only door to the room was
Wait,
the
what's
one I
the
came
what's the
from.
one Goner? Like
Goner.
like
Goner.
like Goner like so was he having an off day with like the edgy names like and you can be Goner.
Goner.
Gonorrhea.
Goner, because you sound like Connor, except fuck it, G. Goner.
Oh no, like Slasher, Gorgon, and Goner. There's always one, isn't there?
He's the lame one. He's the one that we don't think's gonna last the night.
Oh hey, like, I'm Slasher. I'm wrathful. I'm Gorgon. I'm Goner, guys. Howdy.
Really, if they're picking on names, they're not going to be making fun of Gorgon in you guys' mind. Like, Goner is the one everyone's going to think is super lame.
Yo, I'll get those kids, but after I've played Magic the Gathering. What else? Like, who wants to join me in my ukulele club? Goner.
Right, let's go.
I looked all over the room looking for some other way out and saw the reason for the cold. The top crease and upper part of one wall was missing and led outside. It was far too high to reach. I left the stable room and went into the surveillance room. The handle felt icy cold as I slowly opened the door. The room, like all the rest, was large.
I wonder if this room's going to bear any relevance to the whole story.
Probably not.
One wall was covered with monitors. The bottom middle monitor stuck out more than the rest and had a keyboard below it. A chair was also pulled up to it. Each screen had various kids on it, some in dreadful conditions, others minding their own business.
Okay.
No sound came from the monitors, but I started to notice I was hearing a ticking noise. A clock above the door I came in read 5:45. Christmas Day didn't start at my house until 6 o'clock.
15 minutes.
The wall opposite of the monitors had many names scratched into it. I wonder if the dead girl's name was scratched into the wall.
It wouldn't matter because you wouldn't know what her fucking name is.
A door that read exit was to the right of the monitors, but the computer said search name. I sat in the large chair and typed in Garrett Rockford. A nutcracker that had two bodies attached from the sides of its head popped up. Right. Each body seemed to be trying to yank away from the other. Its face looked like it was in pain. So was I, and it seemed it had the same colour of eyes as Levi and Garrett.
Okay.
I looked up Levi Rockford and the same thing popped up. I sat frozen in awe for a moment. Tears filled my eyes and ran down my cheeks. The ticking of the clock seemed to turn into clopping as I sobbed.
Oh! No! Didn't say clopping, did it? Oh, I hate that word so much. Clopping. Clopping, just fucking My Little Pony porn. All in the shit.
I accidentally hit the alt tab and I saw the Krampus fucking search history.
Never ever search clopping into Google. Do not do it.
I watched
So
Clopping
much
once and I
tranny
nearly
horse
threw
spunk.
up.
Clopping cringe. I've seen them go crying because clop sexuals are being oppressed.
Yeah.
We
I
have
was
to watch
crying
that.
more than I ever cried before.
Yeah, I understand.
I've never seen a grown man in a horse outfit
And,
jacking off.
and on this day, I realised that humanity's really not worth saving, is it? To be
No.
honest, I think we should just call it a day.
I cried so hard I began hearing a ringing. Then the chair I was in
Oh,
spun
come
round,
on,
and I was
mate.
face to face with Krampus. He looked menacing and insidiously sinister. His horns were partly covered in blood. His long
You've
fingers.
already described him.
I know.
We know what he looks like. Just fucking get on with it. Stop doing describing shit. No one cares about. Let's hop in a bit and just got out of the fucking basket. Could just be completely just ignored.
Yeah.
Could have taken it all out.
We didn't really know about the fucking reindeer or
That's
the.
what we do. So put
We're
a
almost, I
mark
can
out.
see the home stretch. Right, so sorry. He's waved his long, sharp, bony finger at me and tisked.
Tisk,
Naughty,
tisk,
naughty.
tisk, tisk.
He said cruelly and mockingly. He licked my face with his incredibly long tongue, then began to
I'm
wrap
so
it
close,
around
I
my
can
throat.
almost
Is this
taste
guy been
it.
watching New Nightmare or something now? It started constricting his tongue and choked me. I was gurgling and coughing and struggling, did close to nothing.
What's even worse, he put some clock on.
I started feeling weaker and weaker as my head heated up my lung. As my head heated up my lungs, screamed for air. My vision even started to become blurred. Then I knew if I didn't do something quickly, I was going to die.
Hank, I'm going to die.
I punched him in the face with all my might and knocked him back for only
Right, get Logan
Right.
down here.
Yeah,
I want
hang
him to
on.
punch
Right,
any of
right,
us.
Okay, hang on. 8 foot tall giant. demon from fucking Christmas Land.
Yeah, or someone who also
7-year-old child.
Also, remember,
punch in
his
the face.
face was melted off earlier.
Oh yeah, sorry, I forgot that. Yeah, right, okay. He might have punched his bones.
So yeah, so the 7-year-old can totally take out the giant demon, like goat Christmas man with high speed regeneration.
Yeah.
I knocked him back for another brief moment as his tongue recoiled into his mouth. I utilised my time and ran towards the exit.
It wasn't even anything clever. Like my leg thrashed up, kicked him in the tongue, and he bit off his own tongue.
Yeah.
Yeah, like kicked him in the chin, just bites his own tongue off.
I felt the ground shake directly behind me as heavy hooves shook the floor violently in their wake. I felt the creature's cool breath on the back of my neck. I pushed the door open and ran into the freezing cold as my pursuer followed suit. I ran until I was knee-deep in snow, until a lanky hand gripped me and started dragging me back. The dark sky slowly lit as the sun started to emerge from the bottom horizon. The Krampus stopped dragging me. He dropped me and stared briefly at the rising sun. "I'll come get you again," he said as he dropped my leg and retreated to his lair as I lay in the snow. A silhouetted figure came from a distance. I closed my eyes for what felt like seconds, but when I opened my eyes, the sun was higher in the sky and the figure was closer. I could make out he was wearing red, and then I passed out again. I opened my eyes to see an outstretched hand with a black mitten on it. It belonged to a fat, bearded man with a silly hat. "Santa?" I inquired.
Child,
He said in a soft, soothing voice.
let's take you home. That's my impression of Matt.
This is like the greatest Christmas special ever. We're all so fucking lazy. People are falling asleep. I had to get coffee. Matt kind of be asked to do Santa. Someone's got to do an impression of Matt doing Santa.
Yeah.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
So next year, you need to do an impression of Toby doing an impression.
Just do that. Just literally do what I just did.
It's just so apt for 2017. The utter shit show this year has been. Just like fucking Christmas, Krampus.
It's alright,
Yeah.
2018, you know, it can't be much worse, you know. 2016, everyone died. 2017, everyone raped each other. 2018, what's that gonna... That's getting cut.
The next thing I remember was waking up in my bed at home. Levi and Garrett were kidnapped in the middle of the night. I found out from Rebecca, Brad and Molly, who had already told our parents and the cops. I tried to tell them what really happened, but no one believed me.
Is it because you got really boring and really descriptive and literally went, no one cares what you have to say? I forgot what his name is now. Twat. You know,
They only got mad when I tried to explain it to them. So I gave up on trying to tell them. That's how I spent my Christmas.
did you open your presents?
Is this like his report to his class or something?
And that's how I spent my Christmas. All these kids just fucking traumatised, half of them asleep.
Immediately gives him an F.
It's too long and very boring.
That's
Factual, but
That's it. That's the story. And there's comments.
Okay, so Lazarus Grimm says, an exaggerated amount of pictures were used here.
They only used one.
Cut
these
down,
like 3.
cut down
they?
on some of them, and I think it would make this pasta even better. I don't think that would make any difference. Leave something to the imagination out of 10. It's insanely descriptive.
Yeah.
When you leave
It's funny. His picture says, "I wish I was cool."
So I understand.
Is that what he says when he's getting his head shoved into a toilet at school?
A couple of words are misspelt, like or, stairs, and footstep. And somebody replies with, a 7-year-old wrote it, cut him some slack.
No, he didn't. Also, XD, but I get it.
I mean, if anyone believes that a 7-year-old wrote that, then they
Well,
are
that's not the worst thing about it. It's
Utter retards.
if it's not that someone may think that a 7-year-old is that some people may believe this is real.
It's like, and I spent every subsequent to Christmas trying to catch Santa again, so I can stuff him in a bag and throw him off a cliff to prevent him from ever sacrificing children to Krampus ever again. And son, that's how I encountered Krampus. Merry Christmas, and remember to keep that box of unlit matches and unlit torches under your pillow, or else you might wake up in a sack. And if that happens, take my story as instructions.
Posted on December 24th by an idiot.
Yeah, December 24th, 2014. That must have been a sad year.
This was a pretty good pasta. I haven't really good pasta in a while, or ever, if you think this is good. Alright guys, shall we sum up our thoughts then?
Right, so boring, and I just just going to the mythology of this little story, so does no one notice the pattern of just children being kidnapped constantly in Christmas?
No. Don't know why they don't notice. The German.
Magic.
No, I don't.
You don't. Which country is this actually supposed to be taken? Because like,
Fuck no,
I'm pretty sure the coal thing is an American thing.
No, he said it was like a German and a fucking.
Yeah, the Krampus is German, but the whole you get coal, I think, is American.
It doesn't matter.
I think it is American because Krampus came out like a couple of years back.
No, but Krampus is an actual myth.
Oh, I know it's a myth, but I think the person that wrote it's American.
Whatever. Moving on, Toby.
Oh, you know what I'm tired of? Unnecessarily long pastas. Aside from that, they just go on. It's like they're just trying to put up their word count because that's all that matters these days, and it's just.
Well, they think they're clever by purple prosing it up.
Yeah.
It didn't really have anything good. I mean, it was a laugh with the reindeer. I appreciate the effort you put into them. I you know what? If of all the scenes, that was one that could stay. But other than that, that's it.
That was so incredibly boring. I think I tuned out. Listen, I tuned out when you guys were reading it.
I was tuning out while I was reading it. I don't know how you fucking managed to cope.
That was completely stupid, and I did not like that one bit, and it was completely pointless.
The sleepy
life
Christmas
is pointless, and I hate myself.
Dull, 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 unbearably dull.
That's like the worst Christmas song ever.
Why on earth did the author need to present the protagonist as being 7? But not telling the story as an adult, because that would have cleared up at least the issue of this is not how a 7-year-old writes. Instead of going, this happened to me when I was 7. That would have fixed that issue. That would have fixed that issue right away. But then they couldn't decide on whether to, because there were some weird spelling mistakes and weird grammar errors. So it's like, is that because a 7-year-old wrote it? No, because you're still, as Matt says, purple prosing it up. This is really bad, and it's yet another story in the endless catalogue of fucking trash that's on the wiki. And I remember a time when we first started doing this show, way back in 2013, when the wiki was full of stuff like Close Encounter with the Tails doll and things like that, and just anybody could post any crap. But then they introduced these quote-unquote quality standards. That apparently this and Dating Game and Squidward Suicide are all meeting.
So the way you get around the quality is you write it so long that the person gives up.
Yeah.
So, I mean, stop.
Just rubber stamps it.
To the admins of Creepypasta Wiki, I say,
They're not
stop fucking kidding yourselves. Stop kidding us that you're trying to maintain the integrity of your website.
If they're a good...
Because anal cancer like this exists on there. Merry Christmas, everyone. Genuinely would like to say a huge Merry... Thank you very much for watching. This video is made possible thanks to patrons whose names are currently on the screen. I'm sorry that we weren't able to bring this out around Christmas, but we did have a few technical issues with the old computer, but it's out now. I hope you enjoyed. If you liked this video, you can subscribe. There are some other videos up on the screen there. You can check those out. We've got merchandise as well, if you want to show your friends what a hip, cool dude you are, that you've heard of this weird little show on the internet. Get one of our shirts, maybe a teacup, that sort of thing. It doesn't have to be for tea. Could have all sorts of things like Bovril or jam. That's good. Got Patreon as well, all that. Follow us on Twitter. I got Twitter, Facebook, Snapchat, Telegrams, all of it. See you next time.